And we're rolling now.
Right.
Welcome to the inaugural edition of whatever this thing is called. Something to do with Gazebo, I think.
The Gazebo Show.
The Gazebo Show. Okay,
Seems like
here we
a good
are.
name.
Here's your host, Jimi Fritz, and Gorilla Billy over here.
Hello.
We'll be baffling your minds with flawless logic
Flawless.
and minds like steel traps.
Like steel traps.
And what's the topic of the day?
Oh, I don't know. Youngsters, youth.
Reason and rationale.
Oh, here comes
Time for tea.
Lovely.
Here we go, served by the lovely Virginia.
Hello, Virginia.
Hello, sir.
Thank you.
So put the kettle on, have a cup of tea, and settle down for a treatise on rational thinking. We have here some nitroglycerin in case either one of us has a heart attack.
Yeah, we need that.
We've both got dicky hearts, so if it comes right down to it, if we start chugging this back, you'll know what's happening. By way of introduction, I would like to say that the underlying problems that we see throughout society right now, it all comes down to one specific area, and that's critical thinking and rational thinking. And we seem to have lacked that. We used to have that. That used to be, we had that in the 60s and 70s. We used to call it common sense.
Yeah. Oh.
And most people had some of it. Now it seems to be in really, really short supply.
Yeah. No, and keeping it real used to be a common expression. Keep it real, keep it real. Now it's, forget that.
And what it is was another one.
And
Meaning not what is it,
no,
but
what it
is.
Yeah.
Is a kind of a Zen koan to accept life as it is. What it is a statement of accepting things the way they are.
Yeah.
And not having the underlying motivation to change them.
Do we think that what's going on in Gaza is genocide?
Not strictly speaking. But I mean, you could say that in some ways it's as bad as genocide, because genocide is killing a lot of people. I mean, technically it's not genocide because it's not killing all the people.
No.
And they're not really intending to kill all the people, because if they wanted to do
Yes.
that, they could.
Apparently intent is a big deal when it
But
comes
they
to
are
defining
killing
what's genocide and
Tens
not.
of thousands of children, which
Yeah.
is definitely, I'm
So-
definitely against that.
Let's not forget that rational thinking led to the dropping of the A-bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Well, that was possibly the opposite of rational thinking.
Well, in a way, it's pretty rational. Let's stop the war as quickly as we can with one, solid blow. And it's amazing how sanguine the Japanese are. Don't mention the war.
No.
All right, but bringing things up to date.
Don't mention Hitler. That's one of the logical fallacies. It's called ad Hitlerum.
Mm.
So whenever you evoke the name of Hitler, it's usually going too far.
Yeah.
And so therefore it's generally not advised. But the more I hear about Hitler, the more I don't like that guy. It's a ne'er-do-well.
Worded that out.
How often does he do well? Nah. He ne'er does well.
Nah.
Almost ne'er.
Almost.
I think it was a failure of rational thinking and critical thinking. So if everybody thought rationally, they'd all come to the same conclusion. You see, if you have a premise and the premise is sound, and then you reason towards the conclusion, and you don't make any logical fallacies, and there's another thing people need to brush up on, logical fallacies, because we all do them. If you don't make any logical fallacies, then you will invariably come to not only the correct conclusion, but you will come to collective conclusion. I think it is important that language gets used in the way it's intended to do. All we have is conversation. All we have is language. It's absolutely essential to everything we do. So therefore, it's very, very important that we have common language.
Yeah.
That we have agreed upon meanings and definitions. And when people take words and they just catapult them into the stratosphere to mean sometimes the exact opposite, it just confuses the issue.
Shakespeare is responsible for a ridiculous number of words in our language. People can make them up if they like. We just have to be able to be prepared to listen to them and agree.
We do make them up.
Yeah, we do. And there has to be common parlance.
Right.
Before it gets put into
If
the book.
it's commonly understood to mean that, then that is the meaning of the word. And so if it's a new word, and there are 200-300 new words every year, who can keep up with that? I'm just going to stick with the words that I've got now.
Yeah, no, that's good.
And then I figure I can carry through to the end with the words that I have. But back to critical thinking. And the reason that it's so important is because if you have a group of rational people, diverse backgrounds, diverse interests, diverse occupations, whatever, and then you present them with the same set of facts, and they accept those facts, they will, and present them with the same problem, like how do we solve this issue, and here's the facts. They will come to the same conclusion. Everybody will come to the same conclusion because it's fairly obvious a lot of the time.
Yeah, no, it didn't matter what the politics of the rocket engineers were when they built, crafts that could go to the moon and come back.
Right.
It was all about agreeing on, science and how things work.
Exactly. So once you have that common understanding, then you can go forward together. And all too often now, we're split up by ideologies and politics and things we believe to be true that aren't actually true, and there's a problem right there. But we need this again. It's common language, right? And common language can be facts and information and verified truths and trusting people, trusting experts, trusting science. I always said that I learn more from fictional literature than I have from non-fiction.
Yeah.
Or books about factual things about the real life.
No.
Because they had vision, and now of course nobody reads, so nobody cares.
No, it's true.
Nobody reads books.
Nobody reads books.
So we both write books.
Yeah.
Nobody reads.
Nobody reads.
They don't care.
They don't.
But if you did read, you might want to check out this book.
Oh, I didn't know we'd be plugging books.
Rave Culture and an Insider's Overview by Jimi Fritz. This is a primer for the global rave phenomenon. And if that's not enough to satisfy your quest for knowledge, then this Confessions of an Ethical Drug Dealer by Jimi Fritz is an excellent psychedelic travelogue and memoir.
Lots of rational thinking in there.
Very rational thinking and important information. And then the end of everything, an ironic black comedy, a brilliant piece of writing.
Very good.
If I say so myself.
Highly recommended.
This is highly recommended.
Yeah.
Here's one of the quotes on the back. At first, art imitates life. Then life imitates art. Then life finds its very existence from the art. So that's what we were just saying. Life finds its very existence from the arts. That's Fyodor Dostoevsky.
No, he's a clever
He
guy.
recommended this book personally on his webpage.
Yeah, make it the last thing you ever read.
Yeah, and then it's about someone committing suicide in a mental asylum. So the perfect thing to do is to make this your last book, read it, and then commit suicide right after.
It's a how-to guide to get deep, dark, and personal with yourself before topping yourself. Fantastic. In the tradition of the Russian classic writers.
Make an impact. Logical fallacies, 101. Let's start where we've done Hitlerum.
Yeah.
Ad Hitlerum. There's ad hoc, ergo propter hoc, which is a very famous logical fallacy, which means because of this, then this, so therefore because of this.
Right.
So that would cover things like homeopathy, herbal medicine, acupuncture, and all the nonsense that doesn't work, which people think does work
because they feel better after they've
because
done
they
it.
feel better.
Right.
So if you have a headache and you jump up and down on one leg and your headache goes away, then you think jumping up and down on one leg causes your headache to go away. Logical fallacy, very common. You can't prove something that doesn't exist. So you can postulate a teapot orbiting the Earth on the other side of the planet, and you can't see it. It's just out of reach. Every time you look, or whatever way we're looking at it, whatever telescope's looking in that direction, it's just out of the frame. So you can't prove 100% that teapot doesn't exist. But it is highly improbable. There's a probability factor going on with belief, and it's not just what you can prove or disprove. Also, you can't prove a negative.
No.
So you can't prove that God doesn't exist. But if he did exist, you should be able to prove that he does exist.
Right.
And nobody did that yet.
Not yet.
Not to my satisfaction anyway.
So when John Lennon's saying, "I am the walrus, I am the Eggman," he didn't have a meaning?
No, absolutely not. A lot of the lyrics were just the sound of the words that they would use because they were a round word in a round place, and they just fit, and they do fit very well.
Alliteration.
I am the Eggman, cuckoo, cuckoo. It doesn't mean anything,
But you know, Alice in Wonderland did that as well. There's a few poems in there that are just like, the Jabberwocky. That's all nonsense.
Yeah, a lot of made-up words too.
Yeah, mostly. Like it's almost entirely made up.
What
There, it
words?
brings us back to language, doesn't it?
No, there
All
are many.
mimsy were the burrow-grows of the
Exactly.
gnome rats out grabe.
Meaning is a completely human-created phenomenon.
Yeah,
We superimpose meaning on the world. There's no meaning in the world to extract.
yeah. But if you look at an artwork, you can say, "What's the meaning of this?" And
Yeah, but you're
and-
creating the meaning.
Well, the artist might have a meaning in mind when
They
they're
might,
painting
and
it.
it might be obvious what they're trying to say, but it might also be completely not obvious.
Right. In which case, you create your own meaning.
You're still making that decision. You're still creating it yourself. Good things happen to good people. Wrong.
Wrong.
Wrong. Good people have awful things happen to them every day.
Yeah.
The best people with the best intentions. They get, 1 minute they're walking along preaching peace and love to the masses, and the next minute a piano might fall on their head
Yeah.
and crush into the ground,
Exactly.
and that will be that.
There was a great movie in the early '70s, The Man with Two Heads. One was a black guy, and the other one was a really rich, racist corporate CEO who didn't want to die and lost all his body, and they kept his head alive, and they found this black guy in a prison and sewed this racist guy's head onto his shoulder. It was the most outrageous movie I've
So he
ever
had
seen.
two heads or one head?
He had two heads, and
Oh,
they
two
argued
heads.
all the time.
Yeah, but imagine they would. Imagine they've had a hell of a job ordering in a restaurant.
Yeah, no, they would never agree on anything. Yeah, or which restaurant to go to. Even.
Right.
Yeah, but the black guy had the body, so he could kind of control the situation.
Right,
Yeah.
you're coming with me, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, I'm in charge now, cracker.
I just read a story about Joni Mitchell today. It was in the Globe and Mail. And the guy's just written a book about Joni Mitchell. And he's talking about this dark phase she went through, where she was doing blackface. Horror of horrors, right? Well, it turns out, the story is that she was going to a fancy dress party, couldn't figure out what to dress and how to dress, and she was hanging out with this guy in the street who had this wacky clothes on, and he was a black guy, and she said, "I'm going to go as you." So she blacked her face and put his clothes on, and she went to the party, and that was her fancy dress. And then it turns out she did it one other time or something. But I mean, the implication now is you look back on that, and it's like, what, 50 years ago? You say, "Oh, Joni Mitchell's racist." Well, no, it doesn't mean that at all. It means she was looning around. She was playing with identity. She was,
Exactly.
I mean, and the bottom line is, are you saying that Joni Mitchell was a racist?
No.
Because she's
Obviously
hanging
not.
out with black
No,
musicians
she's a-
all her life. I mean, you couldn't
Right.
be more liberal than Joni Mitchell. So
I mean,
the idea that you're using something from a past like that
No.
to paint her as a racist now, when she's like 85 years old, it's insane what's happening.
Fuck me if I can't just get out there and do the things I want to do, and my heart's in the right place.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is does wearing blackface make you a racist? It doesn't in itself.
No.
If you are a racist, then you should be strung up by your bollocks.
Yeah.
But if you're not a racist, then you're not. There was a piece I saw on the news about a guy with a running around in a Mexican poncho and a sombrero, and a mustache, a Mexican mustache, and he was going up to people in the street and he was saying, "Do you think this is cultural appropriation?" And they were all saying, "Oh yeah, no, that's terrible, that's horrible. That's, you shouldn't be doing that. You're mocking these people and blah, blah, blah. And it's insensitive and you're a monster." And then he went into the Mexican neighborhood and he was talking to all the Mexicans. They said, "Do you think then, that's great, man. Well, right on." And they're right cheering him and waving to him on the other side of the street. They thought it was, great. They took it as a compliment, that he was showcasing their heritage or something. So it's, it's nothing to do with what you're wearing. It's to do with what's going on in your head. There's the moral of the story right now.
What's going on in our heads?
Don't forget to tune in next week when we'll be talking more rubbish.
Absolutely. No, we're full of it.